Hey y'all, this is Cindy. I'm the Tireless Tangler, and you've arrived at a new Monday meditation. Thank you so much for being with me today. I want to start today by explaining what's going on. Today is the first day of school for my little one, and I want to go and drop him off and leave some paperwork at the school. So I thought that just for today, I would do this as a recording, and then you guys can let me know next week or in comments on this whether you prefer the recorded version or the live version. I feel like I can add music and make it much more peaceful by doing it recorded. However, I would still want to do a day live so that we could talk to each other. I really love that component. So, for today, I'd like to start with breathing. Let's take a deep breath in through the nose, out through the mouth, relaxing your shoulders and breathing in through the nose, out through the mouth. One more, in through the nose. Awesome, let's get started. Today I want to do a standard Zentangle tile, and we're going to do a tangle called Knightsbridge. Now this is going to be ink intensive, so if you want to use a wider nib like a 05 or a 08, I am starting off with my Pigma Micron PN, and the PN stands for plastic nib, and they are doing this because, or they made this pen because there are a lot of us that are tough on the nibs of our pens, and so we press kind of hard, and if you are one of those people, this nib will hold up much better for you. So you might check for those wherever you buy your pens. So today I'm going to do a wonky square grid. I have gotten up to a very wonky start as per usual. Some things never change, guys. Now I'm about to make it wonkier. See, I knew I could do it. Alright, let's see and turn. So go ahead and on your tile put in your pencil dots or your paper if you like. You can section off a square bit in your sketch pad if that's where you're at for this. And just in a very relaxed way, draw in your square grid. A square grid is just a grid that you draw in with lines that go perpendicular to each other. And this particular pattern is very much like a checkerboard, so every other square is blacked. And so if you are interested in using a larger nibbed pen for that, that is fine. One of my goals for today, of course, is again learning to relax in to the blacking process, which so many of us struggle to slow down in. And so I'm going to be bringing this type of thing in these meditations multiple times over the weeks to come, because it's a way to teach yourself that these things aren't as tedious as we allow them to be. Now, I am very much a person that has trouble with this. I have trouble slowing my mind enough to really focus on blacking. It doesn't seem to be enough stimulation to keep my brain engaged, but that's okay. That's sort of the purpose of what I want to explore today. Once you have your square grid, and if you've done yours wonky, then it probably looks something like this. and I just left out the section where I had the loop. And now all I want you to do is take your pen and take your time and slowly ink in every other square. Now it is possible, and it does happen to me, more than I'd like to admit, that that I get out of order on these, so I try to stay in the inking in order where I go row by row, but I get a bit impatient, so we're going to see how that goes today. I think this pen may be running out of ink. It looks like it does pretty well, but I can feel it sort of, I don't know, it's just not flowing on, so I think probably it's getting a little spare on ink. So how are you guys doing this week? I do miss hearing from you, and I know that things for the last couple of weeks have been hectic for me. With today being the first day of school, I am excited to figure out what that's going to mean for my daily schedule. I'm hoping that I am going to be able to raise the quality of these videos and have more time to get more things done. I am so behind, and I'm struggling, I think, with a bit of depression simply because I feel like I'm drowning and there's no way out. And that's a feeling that I think a lot of us struggle with, especially if we're still working and having that kind of stress from our job. But that's also something that we can stress about at home or with our relationships or friendships. So it's important to learn to slow down and take your time and know that everything's not always going to work out the way we think it should, but generally things work out for the best. This is something that I am trying to learn myself, trying to have faith that things are going to work out for me and the little one. And speaking of the little one, by the way, I wanted to mention that today I'm going to try to make a birthday wish list public for him, and I will let you guys know tomorrow, or I will put a link to it in the community tab here on this channel. If you're on an iOS device, you may not have that available to you. I know it's not available to me on my iPad, but it is on my Android phone and it is on the computer. So just in case, I know a couple of you have messaged me and asked if they could, you could send a gift for my little one for his birthday at the end of the month, and that would be a lovely gesture. And so I thought an easy way to handle that would just be to make an Amazon wish list for him, and then y'all could do your thing from there. It's very, very sweet of you guys to remember him. He is such a pivotal part of my life, and he is such a joy in so many ways, and I do expect to have some struggles here the first month or so of school. I'm hoping that he will sort of settle in. I know it's going to be hard on him to stop playing video games all the time and have homework and expectations and things like that, and that is something also that we all struggle with. And so I think a little bit of adjustment time will be necessary, but he is a great kid, and I am looking forward to 4th grade with him. He's got a super great teacher, and she is caring and compassionate and very experienced, and those are the things that work best for him. So I think we're going to have a positive year. For me, I am battling a bit of depression right now because, well, I said that already, didn't I? And depression is a tough thing to talk about for a lot of people. It is something that I have struggled with my entire life, and it's tough. It's tough. It took for me. It's been a journey over the years figuring out what to do and how to handle it. And I think where I'm at today is a mix of really good coping techniques from my mom and some chemical therapy for the chemical imbalance that I have where that is concerned, and that helps. But those two things by themselves, and I have a regular counselor that I see, and those things help a lot. But sometimes it creeps up on you anyway, and it's really, really hard to get rid of when you are sick and stuck in the hospital, or stuck in bed, or trapped in your home, or any of those scenarios that a lot of us struggle with. Depression is a real thing that we fight daily, and I know this is true for me, and I cannot afford to be depressed right now. I have got to be Wonder Mom and make everything right for this little guy, and it is stressful. And I was amazed this year that the anniversary of my Sean's suicide was back in July, and the last 2 years I did not do well with that anniversary, and sort of had to take several months off, and that showed up in the middle of the 100-day project this year, and I was bound and determined to finish that puppy, and we did, and I was very grateful for that. And I don't know if it's creeping up on me now, or if the stress of what we're going through right now is part of it, although our stress levels are much less right now because we have hope where before we didn't have much. And so he and I are sort of settling in. We are looking for a new place to live, and hopefully it will be easier for us to maintain. Smaller, but still with a place for Simba. And I'm feeling very blessed, but I'm tired. I'm tired a lot, and that's one of my signals for depression is that I start to feel depressed. I start to feel exhausted all the time. And when I was growing up, my mom used to tell me, okay, you're overwhelmed. Let's choose one thing today to get done. What is the very most important thing on your list that needs to be accomplished today? Pick that one thing and do that, and then give yourself a break. And the next day you do it again. And more often than not, you get more than that one thing done. But that one coping technique, finding one thing to do and getting that one thing done, and then giving yourself a break after that, is really helpful for me personally. And I don't know what some of you do coping-wise when you are struggling with depression, if you do. And if you don't, God bless you. I am so happy for you. But I suspect that a lot of us do. And if you do, and you have a great technique that helps you to get back on track with your depression, would you please drop me a comment and let me know? I suspect that between all of us, if we come up with a list of things, that would be an awesome thing for me to publish on my blog, because many artists struggle with depression. I think it's sort of an offshoot of the creative process. As artists or musicians or whatever type of creative pursuit that you cover, even scrapbooking or anything like that, is a creative process. And you get to places in time where you just need a break. And so it's important to allow yourself that break. That is a hard thing for me. I set myself up to really have a tough time because I stay busy so much, and that doesn't really leave me time to sit down and mope and feel sorry for myself. And that's a really good thing, because then I tend to not do that. And I've really worked so that my attitude gets positive and stays positive. And even when I feel myself getting depressed, I can admit it out loud and say, this is something I need to work on. I recognize that I'm getting depressed, and talk about it. Talk about it with my counselor and do something about it. Make myself go out, make myself call someone, make myself have some sort of contact with another person. That also is a great technique. It's really tough. Go for a run. Physical activity is another great technique for fighting depression or anxiety. In fact, a lot of these same techniques will work as well for anxiety as depression. And those are both things that I struggle with. So I really want to open a discussion. This is a topic that I have had on my back burner for months and months and months, probably since last February or this last February. And it can be very difficult to talk about, and it's important to put it in the right setting, I think. And I feel like this is a good setting for that. This group is very non-judgmental. You're very compassionate towards each other, and that is something that I appreciate very much. The gentleness with which we handle others is something that I'm very proud of as far as this community goes. And sure, there are a few, but for the most part, the people here, if you let them, they will be kind to you. And not always, but mostly. And that's a beautiful thing. That's something to cherish with this community, is that it's so caring and compassionate. And so I think it's safe for us to share about this here. And if this is something that you struggle and don't want to talk about, that's fine. But if you do struggle with it and you don't mind sharing some of your coping mechanisms for this, that would be awesome. And I think that would help everyone, not only me for reading the comments, but I think everyone who reads the comments can be helped by those. And it's good to know that you're not alone when you're struggling with these kinds of things. It's good to know that someone cares about you. And I know what it feels like to feel like you're all alone and no one is there for you. But I think if we're all honest, we can find someone who will listen. Earlier this year, I felt very isolated and alone, and many of you became a friend to me. I have messaged people, one or two people that I'd never met, and shared some things with them because I just needed a sympathetic ear. I'm going to get mopey again. Sorry. And if what you do for others is listening when they need an ear, that is a gift and a blessing. If you are a listener, pat yourself on the back, because you are a blessing. You're a blessing to others. And to Lynn Ware, I want you to know that I appreciate you for being that ear for me a couple of times this year. I really appreciate that. All right, enough with the weepy eyes. I hope that you guys are enjoying the process of laying this ink down, stroking it into place, finding those annoying white flecks, filling them in. Make sure you use an ink pen with a nice juicy nib for this, you'll be a lot less frustrated than if you're using a scritchy pen that's almost out of ink. I really am starting to enjoy the blacking process much more. It has really amazed me in a couple of instances when I have done tangles that involved blacking, how much less stressed over it I am now than I was before. And I'd be interested in knowing if this has helped you. If you are an impatient blacker, I would love to know if this has helped you to learn to be patient with that process a little bit more, and not so quick to be in a hurry. That is something, of course, that I fight daily, and I think in a couple of spots here I got in a hurry. But for the most part, when I feel like I'm sharing with you guys, I can sort of lose myself in the blacking process, and maybe that's a key for me. Maybe I need to talk to myself when I black. I don't know. Of course, I talk to myself a lot these days, and so that's why Simba feels like such a part of the family, because he is. Let's see. All right. We are coming down to the end of this video. Simba is after a critter. He always goes scrambling out the doggy door in the back, like a crazy man. I swear he's part rabbit. He hops up and down. Sometimes he gets a wild hair and just bounces around playing with one of his balls all by himself, and it's just the funniest thing. And I'm gonna have to get a video of it because it makes me laugh out loud, and I know y'all will too. Hey to all you doggy and kitty lovers out there. I don't know, let's see. All right, just a couple more. Okay, not a couple, several, a few. Okay, it's more than a few. Okay, we're about 3/4 done. How about that? Take your time. Make each square as neat as you can. Pay attention to the sides. You will also notice that if you will move your pen slower, slightly slower than normal, your ink will flow better. When you get in a hurry, sometimes it will feel like your pen is out of ink. If you will slow your stroke down, I think you'll find that it has more ink than you think. Ooh, I'm Dr. Seuss today. I shouldn't have said, oh, Cindy, no. Nope. Yeah, I knew I was going to get in trouble over here. I'm going to find out how that goes. Can't really repeat that one. Well, hopefully I'll leave it and it'll be fine. Oh no. Okay. See there? All right, let's figure out what we're going to do here. Well, we're going to keep going. You know, that's important. I'm still going to take my time and enjoy my blacking. That's not going anywhere, and I'll get over there in a minute. Now I wish I had thought this through, because I think I would not have drawn my outer lines in ink if I were to do this again. I think I would just leave the border in pencil and do my grid without outlining the whole thing. But I think I'm going to have to do that here. Oh, I think Simba's getting it. Oh, I used to have a dog named Daisy. She was an Australian Shepherd Husky mix. She was just beautiful, had bunny fur. She was such a little predator. That girl could lay still and watch and be still for so long. She used to catch squirrels and birds. Not that that made me happy. She was my critter catcher. More than any dog I've ever known, she was somebody that brought me critters. And that was so awful. I can't tell you. It happened more than once that I would be laying in bed ready to go to sleep, and she would jump up on the bottom of the bed, and all of a sudden I would hear a squeak, and she had caught a mouse or something and had brought it to bed with her. So, oh my goodness. So I'm just going to bold this mess out over here, I think. I'm going to try to see what I can figure out. Alright, what are we going to do next? I shouldn't tell stories while I'm drawing, should I? Yeah, see, we're going to have to back that one up too. That's alright though. We're going to think of something creative to do with this. Probably. Don't sweat the small stuff, guys. That is such good advice from my boy Sean. He was such a smart boy, smart young man. It was tragic the way that, anyway, let's not talk about that. That's just going to make me weepy again. Anyway. Don't sweat the small stuff. That is good advice, and I try to take it. You know, my kiddo likes to say, that's not small stuff. But when we really think about it, it is small stuff. Everything that's not major life event is usually small stuff. Getting angry at someone on the way to work while you're driving, small stuff. You know, all the little irritants in life, waiting in long lines, small stuff. Gotta learn to roll with the punches. I am full of analogies and metaphors today, aren't I? Just got a couple more of this, a couple more of these. Now we're down to a few. Couple. One. Oh, Simba. Funny boy. All right, well, not so bad. So how did y'all's turn out? Did you do a funky square, or did you do something more straight? Don't forget to tag me if you post your art. And this is where I've decided that I've got to go around this with my thicker pen. If I can do that. It's always interesting and an adventure. But I think you can see what I mean about leaving this pencil, because then I could shade around that. Well, of course I still can, but shading is something that I didn't take time for on this video, but definitely shade around the edges, shade around the hole in the middle. And if you've got any of these waves that you feel like are over some of the other wavy parts, if that makes any sense at all, then you can always you can always shade the parts that you feel like might dip. So that's really a matter of preference, but this is pretty cool all on its own. And even though I missed a couple of spots over on one side, I think I'm going to put my chop in there with my Jelly Roll pen 10. I think I'm going to regret using this, but I'm going to go for it and see how it turns out. I haven't really given this area very much time to dry, so I'm not sure how effective this will be. I don't think I'm going to be able to do the whole thing the way I normally do. I really don't want to put any extra there on the C. I'm afraid this will all, yeah, there we go. There. Okay. Not so bad. See, I distracted you from that mess. Now it's not so bad. What do you think? Once it's shaded, it won't look bad at all. I like it. Yeah, I forgot one of these edges. Don't forget to come back tomorrow for Tangle Tuesday. I haven't decided what tangle we're going to do yet, but it'll be fun. Just going to try to touch in those areas where I don't think this is going to work very well. Anyway, maybe I'll use my smaller nibbed jelly roll for adding something in here. We'll see. Anyway, that's where we're going to leave it today. Don't forget to sign your art and date it so that when you look at it later, you know what you were doing when we made it. I really have trouble with my Y's these days. And my A's, apparently. I'm trying to remember what day it is. The 18th. Yeah. 2019. Can you believe it? We have been in the 2000s almost 20 years. That's incredible to me. I thought I'd be dead right now, but I'm not. I'm not planning on going anywhere either. This tangle today that we used is called Knightsbridge. Of course, you can call it what you want. It's just checks, and it's such a great way to fill in a section on your string that you don't know what to do with. Plus, it's an exercise in patience. So take a deep breath and enjoy yourself, and I'll see you tomorrow.